Yes.
Hello and welcome to the reading from Agastya, Purpose of Life, translation of the sacred discourses of Agastya Valipadu. Today we'll continue with facing problems in life, problems that we face as we lead a life in the society, in the community, in the family. So today's topic is web of problems. Sage Agastya says, when a devotee approached Sage Agastya for guidance regarding a complicated situation, he explained beautifully how to unravel it. He says, "This is a small disturbance, but caught in the winds of the ocean by gaining momentum, it has stirred the shores like the wave of an ocean. Even though the disturbance is small, it has become a big thing. Let us wait and see if it will come out. And when the wave returns to the sea, it will reveal the crabs and shells on the shore." What this means is that this kind of small disturbance will create a situation that will bring out all that is hidden, including the wrong that people have committed without their own knowledge and the unknown layers. So, Appa is very clearly telling somebody who came, was very distraught, saying, "Oh, there's a problem in my life. I don't know what is going on." And he says, "It is a small disturbance. It's not a big thing. However, a lot of other things have contributed to making it big. And now it's like a huge wave that has come and hit the shore. But when the wave recedes, you will see it will show the things that were hidden within that have been brought to the shore." Like he's talking about, like giving examples of the crabs and the shells that we find on the shore. So he says, when something happens and it's blown out of proportion and it bursts open in somebody's life, then all the small things that contributed to it will be revealed. Now, and he also says, this will also show the wrong that people have committed without their knowledge. So this happens in our life when some event takes place, and then it comes out like a volcano and it bursts open, and then people say things that have been long hidden within them. Then all the issues that they've had in their mind comes out. So Appa again explains this. It is only when hidden emotions come out and are given life and limitless power as speech will the burning embers lose their mark, hit the mountain, and return to fall on us. Because of this, the arrow that has missed its mark returns to destroy the very persons that has shot it. How powerful is the sin that we command to strike another? So beautiful. Appa saying, when you're gathering all these small things that have happened in your life in connection with another person, and then one day it's going to burst open. It's like you've collected all that arsenal, you put it in an arrow, and you're trying to strike the mountain. But what happens? Because of all that anger that you have and the wrong that you're doing by actually trying to hurt someone else, no matter what happened, that will come back and strike to destroy yourself. So when you are gathering all the arsenal, and here, what is the arsenal that we're gathering? We're gathering all the bits of gossip. We're gathering all the small events that have happened, things that may not even be true or may not even be important. But we're gathering all that and we're trying to strike another person. And he says, how powerful is the sin that we command to strike another? This is revenge. He's talking about revenge. Revenge is a sin. Sapa says, don't commit this great sin, because it is you're gathering all the arsenal of good that you have, all that you have collected, you're trying to throw it at somebody. That will gain power and come back and destroy you. And how many times haven't we seen this? Even when situations where it is in a home or in the office or in the community, if we could have just let it go, like he said last time in the last discourse, just like a tree that bends in the wind and then straightens up. Instead of doing that, if we stand up and we gather everything and we try to destroy the other person, most of the time it is we who end up getting hurt. So let the small things go and do not react immediately, is the message in this. Then he continues. All humans must understand and make sense of how far such a thing will go, why, when, and to what extent can one materialize this. Right now, the wave is still small and is remaining within. Yet that which is boiling inside is not yet ready to subside. It has not subsided fully in both of them. He's now talking about a particular situation with that devotee, and he's saying that wave is still small at this point, but it's not subsiding and it is still boiling. So when such a thing happens, then it is going to create problems in the future. But calm down and start thinking, why has this happened? And what happens if I react in such a way? So Appa is giving very practical and sage guidance on how to live a life, how to face the challenges we face in life in context with others. If you think of this, most of these issues are always connected with other people. So it is in the human interactions that we come across this kind of challenges. Then Appa says, it is only when a man gets caught in an uncomfortable situation does he have the opportunity to reflect on it. Now he's giving a beautiful positive twist to it. He says, when something happens to you, then you have the opportunity to think about it. You have the opportunity to look at it the way a great rishi or a sage or a divine guru understands things. What needs to be understood is how did the trouble or the event occur? Who wove the spider web so that it became a problem? You must also understand who is the person who made the issue gain strength. Now, Appa's talking about, think about it. What was the issue? Start unraveling it. Think about what was the main thing that brought this whole big challenge in your mind. Think about all the people who are involved. Many times, if it is something between a husband and wife, it is something between two employees, things might just not even be noticed. People might just forget it, might keep going on. But usually there is always a third person coming and creating some trouble. They'll come and say, hey, did you notice that person said this to you? They said it in this tone. I think they were trying to insult you, but the person who actually received that insult, or maybe just the person who said it may not have meant it that way. The person who heard it also didn't think of it like that. But there is this third person who's creating the trouble. These I would call are the gossip mongers in our world. I think one of the major problems in our world is the people who create gossip, who gossip about others, because they are creating a lot of unrest between people. And so I have a word that I coined for this. They are mental scavengers. Because what they do is they're gleefully collecting all the dirt. They're seeing dirt where there is no dirt. And then they bring it, they carry it with them, and they try to give it to you. So now, as spiritual aspirants, are you going to take that filth and carry it on? Or are you going to say, that is filth? So what if this person said this and it was meant that way? I didn't feel that way, so I'm going to let it go. Or are you going to say, it's okay, it's just a small thing, I'm going to let it go. It's not important in the large context, because we have much more important things to focus on as spiritual people. And these are opportunities for us to understand that this is what is happening in the world today. At a very lower level, it is happening in family relationships, and it's happening in office, college, school. But at a higher level, it's also happening in communities. Think of the time when there is an election or there's something going on worldwide. Wars happen because of these things. Political opponents, instead of talking about what is good for the people, start attacking each other. All this is not good. So that is why, as spiritual aspirants, when something happens to us, we want to sit back and they say, Okay, why did this happen? If this is something that I have felt, let me examine the situation. So always try to not react and walk away from whatever is happening so that you have time to think and reflect. A truly spiritual person, no matter what kind of barb is thrown at him, will smile and let it go. And you and I can be that kind of a spiritual person, because when we realize these things that are happening in the human level are not true, it's not real, because we are divine beings and nothing can touch us, nothing can touch the soul, then we can walk the lofty path of spiritual life. It is a beautiful, very, what do you call it, like a king or a queen or a divine being. You can walk this earth, because people will then look at you and say, look at that person. No matter what anybody says to that person is not reacting. You will gain more respect. You will gain more respect and you will show others how to behave. But if you indulge in the gossip, if you become part of the gossip circle, if you say, oh my God, that person said this, so this is wrong, so I'm going to go confront the other person, you are getting involved in the web that somebody has started weaving for you. Sometimes, as a per says, it's not just you and the other person who's weaving the web. The third person is weaving the web and catching you in it. Because there are people, there is human nature, that there are certain people who still haven't realized their divine nature, who enjoy doing something like this. So beware. You can talk to a person who gets angry quickly. You can talk to a person who does wrong and admits they're wrong. But the most dangerous person is one who smiles and talks nicely and then says, oh, did you hear that this person did this? That is the filth. That is the mental scavenger you want to avoid. Because that kind of a person can ruin an entire family. They can ruin a community. They can ruin the peace that you have in your circles, whether it's in friendship circles or in office, because they are bringing in filth and feeding it to others. And many, without knowing it, are accepting that filth and making it bigger and then creating undue unrest. Then Appa says, normally, if trouble needs to grow, there should be something that first causes that trouble, meaning there should be some event. Who is the person who created this kind of trouble? Now, always when something happens, sit back and reflect. Okay, what triggered this? So you start beginning to unravel the web. You start following the thread to see where this began. Is it not necessary that it is not necessary that there are only two people involved in a troublesome situation, says Appa. Apart from the three, and in this case, he was talking about the three people involved in that situation that the devotee had brought to him. Apart from the three of you are engaged in this disturbance, there are outsiders who have helped it make it stronger. And how does this happen? Who are the outsiders who help make it stronger? When something happens between two people or three people in this case, when you go and start confiding in others, then you're bringing in more and more people in. Now, again, go back to thinking about all of this as energy. That's one negative thought, one negative energy. Another is adding to that. Another brings another and adds to that. You're making that negative energy stronger and stronger and stronger. And usually there is no substance in it, no substance of truth in it. But it is becoming a weapon that is going to destroy all of you in one way or the other. Then Appa says, which means, was this disturbance created by something that was made known to you by these others? Reflect on this. So when he says, apart from the three of you who are engaged in this disturbance, there are outsiders who help make it stronger. He knew. Trikala Jnani. He knew what was going on. He says, which means, was this disturbance created by something that was made known to you by these others? Reflect on this. Because in this case, the devotee was fine, the other person was fine. The third person was also okay as far as they were leading their lives. But there was another person who came in and started creating this web. started feeding this negative energy into this friendship of these three people and created a disturbance that would have eventually destroyed their friendship or created more harm in the social life. So, saying this, now Appa sang one of the most beautiful songs that I am going to recite right now. I've translated it into English, but the Tamil is even more beautiful. So he says, "Why weave your own web? Asking the one who is holding the spear, and then as you ask me, knowledgeable one, I will tell you, listen." Now he's addressing Gajaraj Swamigal, because what happened was these people came and talked to Gajaraj Swamigal saying, this is I know there's a problem in my life, please help me. And of course, Gajaraj Swamigal asked Saint Agastya in his prayer. And so Agastya is telling Gajaraj Swamigal, he's addressing him as knowledgeable one. And he's talking about Muruga, saying, asking Muruga's permission, I am going to tell you, listen. When troubles are many, when trivial things are multiplied, when all thoughts are wrong, if you spread the spider's web and amplifying the problems, then wherever you place your foot, won't the web grip it tightly? How beautiful is this? When troubles are many, when trivial things are multiplied, when all thoughts are wrong. So he's talking about it. When now this thing has grown into small issues, little crabs and little shells all over. And those things are being made bigger and bigger. And everything is actually wrong. It's all based on the falsehood. It's not even the truth. And you're spreading that as a spider web. And when you're amplifying that problem and you place your foot in that spider web, what happens? It'll hold you tightly. You're creating your own web of discord and distrust based on a false event, and you're putting your foot on that, and it's going to hold on to you tightly. Caught in the complications, erring in your very thought, scattering the benevolence of God. Why do you weep so? You're so caught up in these complications, and your thought itself is becoming wrong because of you listening to all these things which are false and amplifying it and adding things that are not even relevant and making it relevant to this as something that is wrong. You're taking all the God's blessings and throwing it away. Why are you weeping doing this? Then he says, nurturing the spider in your mind, building a nest of problems through your own thoughts, getting caught in it by your own thoughts. Why do you struggle? You who have nurtured the spider in your mind, you have built this nest of problems. And with your own thoughts, you have done this, and you're getting caught by yourself. So why are you struggling like a spider after creating this web? If you place one foot in the past and the other in the future, how will you place your foot in the time that is in the present? Now he's talking about all of us. Think about it. When something happens, we talk about what has happened in the past. We're talking about what is happening in the future. But where is the foot that we're going to place in the present? How are we going to live in the present if we are so focused on what has happened in the past and so focused on what is going to happen in the future? Where are you going to put your leg? Think about it. One leg there, one leg here. Where is the leg for the present? So we do that not only when we face challenges with others, we do that a lot of times in our life. We're so worried about the future and so caught up in the past, we forget to live in the present. That's another lesson that Appa has taught us in this. Let's continue with the beautiful song he sang. To let the bird that is your life go upward, aspiring for God, pray to your Paramaguru without building a web. Now he says, so let go of that web. So not to make sure that the bird is not caught in the web of the spider, and to go towards God, pray to your Guru, and Guru will help you. He'll help guide your thoughts. So when something like this happens, instead of going and telling a third person who's probably going to add to the problem, why don't you talk to your Guru? Ask your Guru to help you. And if your Guru is not in the physical form, he's that much closer to you because he's just a thought away. Talk to him when something happens. Tell him, Appa, do you see what is happening? Can you please guide me? Talk to him mentally. He'll guide you correctly. Unraveling the problems calmly, separating them one by one. If you examine each one with patience, you will understand and the lamp in you will ignite. So he's telling us when something like this happens, unravel the problem slowly. Take each strand. Okay, this is what happened, but this has no relevance to this. This is a different thing, but everything has been brought together by this third person. So when you see all that, then you will see what the issue is, that it was not a non-issue, or it was not important enough, or it is something small that can be rectified, or if there is a mistake, then we can also learn to correct ourselves. So when you understand, when knowledge comes in as you're facing a challenge, then the lamp of knowledge in you will ignite. Then he says, as you watch that light over and over, as righteousness protects you over and over, won't your mind find peace? So again, he brings it all back to dharma or righteousness, how we have to conduct ourselves no matter what is happening. We have great stories. We have stories of great souls who sacrificed everything for the sake of dharma. Can't we be like that? Then he says, one moment here, one moment there. This trait of discord, is it correct? So he's again talking about people who are completely so lost in the present. They're thinking of this, thinking of this, thinking of what somebody else has said, thinking of what happened that day, bringing it all together. He says, this trait that you have, character of discord, is it correct? Then he goes on to say, cutting an onion. This is a very simple but beautiful example. Cutting an onion, pressing your eyes with the hands that have cut it. If you cry that your eyes are hurting and cry tears, whose mistake is that? Reflect on that. Think about that. How many times haven't we done that? In practical life, we cut our onion and then we forget, we touch our eyes and we cry. But in the challenges of life, we initiate something, then we bring the trouble onto ourselves, and then we cry. And he says, whose mistake is that? So as spiritual aspirants, let us learn not to focus too much on what somebody else is doing. Even if somebody else is doing something that directly affects you, think back on the fact that everything is karmic. Either it is because you have initiated something in your past life or in this life that has angered that person. So that's the karmic fruit. And how can you nullify it? How can you stop the cycle? And then also reflect on, maybe there is something that I need to learn from this. And that is something Appa has taught us over and over again. But most importantly in all this, as spiritual aspirants, our focus is only on God and only on achieving liberation. And how do we do that? By following the path of dharma or righteousness, no matter what is happening. When all this trouble is happening and all these things are being thrown at you, hold on to Him. Hold on to God. Hold on to your divine Guru. It doesn't matter who it is, Christ, Krishna, Jesus, Allah. It doesn't matter. Hold on to that one divine energy that speaks to you, and hold on to that and say, help me, guide me, not to lose my focus. Become like a horse that has blinders, We put blinders on a horse so that the horse goes straight. Because as we say, the five senses are the five horses. They would want to go different places. Put blinders on them. Create the blinders by focusing on God. Create the blinders on focusing on the goal, and that is to end the cycle of life and birth. Focus on following dharma. That's all that we need to do. Everything else is inconsequential. Think about it. When something like this happens and it's bothering you, think about it. Does it affect your ability to eat? Does that mean that you're not going to have food tomorrow? Does this affect your ability to stay in a comfortable place, in a safe place? Is your house going to go away? No. Then why are you worried? Because bodily needs are necessary. That has to be maintained as spiritual aspirants, because body is the temple. But beyond that, everything else doesn't matter. You don't get an award, it doesn't matter. You don't get a promotion, it doesn't matter. Somebody thinks you're the worst person in the world, it doesn't matter. That is their mental scavenging, not yours. Even in spiritual circles, we have that. We have a lot of mental scavengers. Somebody is doing good, somebody else comes, talks about that person, tries to get all the other people away from that mental, from that particular spiritual aspirant. Why? Why are you, as spiritual aspirants, accepting filth? When that's the first thing that you need to say no and stop the cycle of filth, stop the cycle of gossip. Walk with only one intent, and that is God and God alone. Because the world is not going to become any better if the trend continues. Look at the climate change. It's getting worse and worse everywhere. There are floods, there's fire, there's mayhem. Cities are being destroyed, populations are being killed, entire populations in all these major countries. We don't have the resources to rebuild everything, and people are not understanding it. Prices are just going up for everything. It'll go down a little, then go up again. Everything that was easy today is going to become 10 times difficult in the next few years. And if we continue this trend, if we continue to be involved in what's happening around us and get caught in this life's challenges and create more karma, we're going to come back and we're going to have to face all that with everybody else. Or we can choose to end it right now. So do not sweat the small things, as the Americans say. So with this, we will stop today and we will continue next week.